The chamber lights dimmed to a single beam over the war table. Officers stood in silence, faces taut, eyes fixed on the image hovering above the surface. A Dominion overlord, scales glistening, fangs wet with venomous saliva. He was enormous even by his species' standards, armored in ceremonial plates etched with jagged runes. Rows of chained humans filled the background of the transmission, heads bowed under lashes, their screams muffled by static. "People of Earth," the alien sneered, his words translated into cold Terran standard. "You are prey. Your colonies burn. Your families kneel. Soon your vaunted fleets will join them in chains." He turned, signaling a guard. A woman was dragged forward, pale, bruised, her Terran uniform torn. She lifted her face just long enough to meet the camera. Defiance flickered in her eyes before the guard struck her down. The feed cut to black. Silence thickened like smoke. Admiral Helena Vera did not move. Her hands rested flat on the table, fingers digging into the glass edge. She had seen propaganda before, but never with this precision, never with this raw intent to humiliate. Around her, generals and ministers shifted uncomfortably, waiting for someone else to speak first. Finally, Chancellor Devrin cleared his throat. "This is designed to provoke. The Dominion thrives on escalation. If we respond in kind, we play directly into their hands." "Into their hands?" Helena's voice was low but edged like a blade. "They already have our people in their hands. Did you not see the chains?" The Chancellor's cheeks reddened. "Our policy has always been measured response. Economic sanctions, diplomatic isolation. Sanctions don't free colonies," Helena cut in. "Isolation doesn't protect our citizens when they're dragged from their homes." She gestured toward the black screen. "They aren't bargaining, Chancellor. They're mocking us." Across the table, General Corrin, broad-shouldered and scarred from the HFY war, leaned forward. His voice carried the gravel of experience. "With respect, Admiral, our fleets are stretched thin. If we launch a counteroffensive, the frontier defenses weaken. The Dominion will exploit every gap." "They already exploit every gap," Helena replied. She met Corrin's gaze, refusing to flinch. "We can bleed slowly at the edges, or we can strike where it hurts." The room fell quiet again. Ministers whispered among themselves, afraid to commit. They all knew the unspoken truth: humanity's reputation hung like a shadow over every decision. Centuries ago, when the HFY tried to enslave Earth, the war ended with the extermination of an entire species. To this day, alien diplomats avoided the subject, but the lesson had never faded: never provoke humans. Now, someone had forgotten. The meeting dissolved without resolution. Orders were delayed, votes postponed. Helena left before the debates could circle endlessly. She walked alone down the corridor of Terran Command, the sound of her boots echoing like gunfire. Her personal aide, Commander Ilias, hurried to catch up. "You held your temper longer than I expected." "I'm not here to argue," she said. "I'm here to prevent another genocide." Ilias frowned. "That's what they fear most, that we'll repeat the HFY." Helena paused at the viewport. Below, the lights of Earth's capital sprawled like a living constellation, peaceful and oblivious. She let the silence stretch before answering. "Then they should fear harder. Because if we don't stop this now, that's exactly where we're headed." The message from Cressida Prime arrived 2 days later. It was fragmented, broken by static, but enough remained to paint the picture. Cities burning under orbital fire. Civilians marched through streets lined with Dominion banners. Children screaming as reptilian guards dragged them from their parents. A single desperate broadcast from the planetary governor, cut off mid-sentence as the transmission dissolved into static and fire. The war table replayed the footage in sickening loops. Officers shifted in their seats, faces pale. Even the Chancellor said nothing this time. General Corrin turned to Helena. "This isn't a raid. This is occupation." She nodded grimly. "An occupation ends one of two ways: liberation or extinction." The debate that followed was short. Too short. Fear gripped the ministers' voices, fear of humanity's own shadow. One suggested negotiating for the release of the colonists. Another floated the idea of abandoning the frontier altogether to preserve the core worlds. Helena listened, jaw clenched, until she could no longer hold her silence. Abandonment is not an option, she snapped. If we run from Cressida, the Dominion won't stop there. They'll push further. And every species watching will learn the same lesson, that humans can be cowed. She straightened, voice like steel. That lesson will kill us all. In the depths of Dominion space, Overlord Kryshar watched his own feeds with satisfaction. His scaled fingers tapped the armrest of his throne. Reports confirmed Cressida's fall, its population enslaved. A general approached, bowing low. There are whispers, my lord. About the humans. Their history with the HFY. Stories, Kryshar hissed, eyes narrowing. Prey invents legends to frighten itself. No species willingly eradicates another. It is wasteful. The general did not reply, though unease lingered in his gaze. Kryshar dismissed him with a wave. The humans will posture, threaten, maybe launch a token fleet. We will crush it. Their colonies will rot until they accept their place. The galaxy will see the Terrans humbled. That night, Helena stood alone in her quarters, the room lit only by the faint glow of Earth's horizon beyond the window. She had been a young officer when the HFY attacked. She still remembered the smell of burning cities, the screams carried over comms, the hollow silence when the war ended, not with surrender, but with erasure. The galaxy had never forgiven humanity for it. Nor had she. Her terminal chimed. Another transmission, this time from a refugee convoy fleeing Cressida. She opened it, only to freeze. The footage showed Dominion warships surrounding the convoy, engines disabled. A moment later, plasma fire consumed the ships. Thousands of civilians gone in seconds. Helena closed her eyes, fists clenched. The decision crystallized in that moment, sharp as glass. Enough waiting. Enough debates. She opened her calm. This is Admiral Vera. Ready the 3rd Expeditionary Armada. All ships. We move at dawn. The next morning, Terran spaceports roared with thunder. Warships powered their engines, sleek hulls glinting under artificial suns. Crews boarded in silence, no speeches, no ceremony. They knew what was at stake. From orbit, the Armada assembled, hundreds of ships aligning into perfect formation, their silhouettes sharp against the void. On the flagship Resolute, Helena stood on the command deck. Her officers awaited the order, faces tense but steady. She let her gaze sweep across them, then spoke with calm precision. The Dominion thinks humanity will bow. They think we will beg. They think we will forget. Her voice dropped, carrying the weight of history. The last species that thought the same no longer exists. Today, we remind the galaxy why. She raised her hand. Engage jump drives. In a blaze of light, the Armada vanished into the void. The hunt had begun. The stars stretched into threads of white as the Resolute leapt through faster-than-light corridors. For a moment the fleet seemed frozen in silence, hundreds of ships drifting inside the pocket of warp space. On every vessel, tension vibrated through the air like a taut wire ready to snap. Admiral Helena Vera walked the length of the command deck, her boots striking rhythm against the quiet hum of engines. Below her, officers monitored tactical readouts, voice chatter clipped and precise. Beyond the viewport, the Armada's formation glittered like a constellation forged for war. Commander Ilias approached, holding a datapad. We've intercepted Dominion comms. A raiding force is heading for Vari's Reach. Helena didn't slow. Strength? 6 destroyers, 3 carriers, escort craft. Small but fast. They're probing. Testing how quickly we'll respond. She tapped the table, eyes narrowing. Then let's answer fast. The transition from FTL was violent. Stars snapped back into clarity, space yawning wide and cold. Vari's Reach hung below, a green-blue world scarred with fire. Dominion carriers orbited overhead, disgorging dropships toward the surface. Enemy fleet detected. A sensor officer called. Signal the Armada, Helena ordered. Form battle line. The Terran warships moved with machine-like discipline, sliding into formation with practiced ease. Energy rippled across their hulls as shields activated. Dominion ships scattered at the sight, their arrogance faltering for the first time. Open fire, Helena commanded. The void erupted. Terran rail batteries spat tungsten slugs that tore through enemy hulls. Missile salvos lanced across the black, guided by swarms of drones. Within minutes, 2 Dominion destroyers split apart in burning fragments. On the deck, reports came rapid fire. Carrier shields collapsing. Raider craft disengaging. Enemy requesting fallback vectors. Helena's expression remained carved from stone. No withdrawals. Finish them. The order carried finality. Within 20 minutes, the Dominion force ceased to exist, wreckage drifting like shattered bones above Vari's reach. Aboard the captured carrier, interrogation cells buzzed with restrained fury. A Veil officer, scales dulled from burns, sneered at his captors. His voice rasped through jagged teeth. You mammals cling to defiance like vermin. Do you believe one skirmish makes you hunters? Helena stepped into the cell, hands clasped behind her back. Her gaze locked on the prisoner's yellow eyes. You raid our colonies. You enslave our people. You broadcast their suffering to the galaxy. And you call us vermin? The Veil hissed, lips curling in disdain. You are prey that learned to bite. But predators never fear prey. She leaned closer, her voice sharp as a blade drawn across glass. Then you've never hunted humans. For the first time, silence flickered across his face. Later, in the war room, tactical maps projected Dominion fleet movements. Red markers swarmed across the frontier like spreading fire. Vari's reach was only the beginning. Ilias gestured at the display. They're converging. Kryshar is baiting us deeper. If we chase too far, we risk overextension. Helena studied the shifting patterns. If we don't chase, they bleed us one world at a time. Corrin's voice came through the secure channel, grim but steady. Admiral, the Council still insists on defense. They want you to fortify the colonies. Her jaw tightened. Defense buys them speeches. It doesn't stop the Dominion. Then you intend to disobey? She didn't answer directly. Instead, she touched the holomap, tracing the path toward Dominion territory. The longer we hesitate, the bolder they become. We cannot win by shielding what remains, we win by making them afraid to strike again. Kryshar reclined in his throne chamber, talons clinking against the armrest. Reports of Vari's reach arrived in bitter fragments, fleets destroyed, carriers lost, survivors few. His generals bowed low, voices hushed with unease. My lord, the humans fight with precision. They wield discipline unmatched. Perhaps the stories. Stories, Kryshar interrupted, his hiss echoing. Tales to frighten hatchlings. No race erases another. No empire sacrifices resources so wastefully. He bared his teeth in a mocking grin. They are mammals. They feel guilt. They hesitate. They lack the will. His generals exchanged uneasy glances but said nothing. On the Resolute, Helena stood in her quarters, hands clasped behind her back, watching the stars wheel past. She thought of Cressida Prime, of the convoys burned, of the change she had seen on the broadcast. The memories pressed against her chest like a weight of stone. Commander Ilias entered quietly. You haven't slept. Sleep is for safer times. He studied her face. The Council won't approve an invasion. If you cross into Dominion space, you cross alone. Her voice was calm, but resolute. Better alone than waiting while they strip our people from their homes. Ilias hesitated. If we do this, we become the nightmare they already believe we are. She turned eyes fierce. Better feared than extinct. The next day, distress calls arrived from Elandra. The transmission showed skies ablaze, Dominion warships blotting out the sun. The feed ended with silence, the planet swallowed in fire. The command deck froze, every officer staring at the blank screen. No one spoke. No one needed to. Helena broke the silence. Set course for Dominion space. Ilias met her gaze, steady but grim. That's treason in the Council's eyes. Then let them call it what they want, she answered. History won't remember their speeches. History remembers survival. She turned to her crew. Signal the fleet. Prepare for deep incursion. This ends where it began, at the heart of the Dominion. The Armada assembled, engines burning bright against the void. Officers strapped into stations, soldiers checked weapons, pilots whispered dark jokes into helmets. Across every deck, the same emotion pulsed, not fear, but grim purpose. Helena addressed the fleet through internal calms. Her voice carried steady, unshaken. The Dominion thinks us weak. They think we will bend. They think we have forgotten the chains once set upon us. She paused, letting the silence deepen. But we remember. And we endure. They want to know what happens when humans are provoked? We will show them. Her words echoed across 100 ships. Men and women tightened their grips, engines flared brighter, and weapons hummed with power. Helena raised her hand over the console. Engage jump drives. Set course for Kryshar's throne. The void bent, stars stretched, and the Terran Armada vanished into Dominion space. The storm had begun. The fleet burst from FTL into the heart of Dominion space. Before them loomed Kryshar's fortress world, two suns blazing across a swollen horizon, orbital rings bristling with war platforms, fleets arrayed like a wall of steel. On the Resolute's deck, officers stiffened at the sheer scale. Dominion war banners burned across their sensors, hundreds of capital ships, thousands of escorts, every gun fixed on the Terran Armada. Commander Ilias leaned over the console, voice low. 3-to-1 odds minimum. Helena Vera's gaze stayed fixed on the tactical display. Then it's fair. The Dominion struck first. Carrier waves swarmed from their bays, filling the void with clouds of strike craft. Plasma beams streaked across black space, slamming into Terran shields. The deck rattled under the impact. Helena's voice cut through the storm, sharp and measured. Hold formation. Return fire. Railguns thundered. Missiles spiraled outward in coordinated waves, tearing swathes through the approaching swarms. Drones darted like hornets, shredding Dominion fighters. Even outnumbered, Terran discipline held, each ship moving with precise coordination, each strike carving order out of chaos. Still, the battle raged vicious. A destroyer beside the Resolute split apart in flames, its crew lost in silence. Reports poured in, damage, casualties, shields failing, but no one faltered. Helena stood unmoving, her presence anchoring the crew. They believe we hesitate. Prove them wrong. Push the line forward. The Terran formation surged, slamming directly into the Dominion fleet. Hulls scraped the edge of plasma blasts, point defense guns howled, and the void itself seemed to burn. From his throne, Kryshar watched the battle feed, lips curling. They come straight at us. Blind, desperate. He hissed in amusement. Break them. Shatter their courage here. But as the minutes dragged on, unease wormed into his generals' faces. Human ships did not scatter. They advanced in lockstep, crushing flanks with brutal precision. Every Dominion maneuver was anticipated, countered, turned into a trap. A general spoke cautiously. They fight as if they have no retreat. Kryshar slammed a talon against the console. Then kill them all and let the void keep their bones. On the Resolute, Helena studied the tactical feed. Red icons still outnumbered blue threefold. Yet gaps were forming, Dominion formations unraveling. She saw hesitation ripple through them, the first cracks in their arrogance. She seized the moment. Order side maneuver. Ilias stiffened. That will gut their core fleet. That's the point. The command rippled outward. Terran cruisers veered suddenly, drawing Dominion forces into the radiation belts of the twin suns. When Dominion ships followed, Terran vessels detonated charged warheads in the stellar currents. Radiation flared like a tidal wave, frying half the enemy fleet in minutes. Cheers erupted across the deck. Helena raised her hand, steadying the moment. No celebration yet. Press the attack. Drive them to their world. The Dominion fortress came into view, towers of obsidian steel clawing toward the sky, planetary shields glowing like a second sun. Armadas circled above, battered but unbroken. Helena opened comms fleet-wide. Her voice rang through every deck, clear and resolute. This is their heart. Their throne. They built their empire on chains and fire. Today we break it. Not for vengeance, not for pride, but because no one will ever put humanity in chains again. Every ship responded in unison. Aye, Admiral. The bombardment began. Orbital strikes hammered the planetary shields until they shimmered, cracked, and collapsed. Terran artillery carved cities into rubble. Dominion ground batteries answered, streaking the sky with fire, but wave after wave of Terran fire silenced them. Amid the chaos, troop transports surged downward. Marines stormed fortresses, weapons spitting arcs of plasma, cutting through resistance room by room. Chains were broken, cells opened. Enslaved humans and alien captives stumbled into the light, tears mixing with disbelief. Helena herself led the command squad through the burning capital. Her armor was scarred, her rifle steady. The path to Kryshar's throne lay strewn with shattered doors and fallen guards. At last they reached him. The Overlord stood tall in his chamber, wings spread wide, teeth bared. Flames from the burning city licked through shattered walls behind him. His voice rumbled, defiant to the end. You think this victory matters? You cannot kill an empire. We are eternal. Helena raised her rifle, unshaken. No empire is eternal. But extinction is. His eyes widened as realization struck. You wouldn't. Her shot echoed once. The Overlord collapsed, his scales cracking against the throne he would never rise from again. Helena turned to her comms officer. Transmit. The message spread across the stars, hijacking every channel, every frequency. Helena's face filled the galaxy. Behind her, the Dominion capital burned. This is Admiral Vera of the Terran Union. To all who watch, the Dominion has fallen. Its ruler is dead. Its fleets destroyed. Its homeworld ashes. She let the silence sharpen her words. This is what happens when humanity is provoked. We did not seek this war. But we ended it, completely. The transmission cut. Silence followed, galaxy-wide. The bombardment lasted 3 more days. Fortress cities crumbled into dust, orbital platforms reduced to debris. By the end, the Dominion was gone, its species scattered, its empire erased. When the fleet pulled back, nothing remained but smoke and silence. On the Resolute's deck, Helena stood staring at the scorched world below. Her officers waited, but she spoke only to herself. How many more times must we do this before we become the monsters they already see? Commander Ilias stepped beside her. His face was pale, but his voice steady. Monsters don't free the enslaved. Monsters don't carry their dead home. She gave a faint nod but did not look away from the ruins. Let the galaxy tremble, then. But let them remember why. Across alien worlds, whispers spread like wildfire. The humans had done it again. Another empire erased, another overlord slain. The names changed, XYRTH, Veil, but the warning never did. Do not provoke humanity. Mercy has limits. Their vengeance has none. As the fleet turned toward home, silence hung heavy on every deck. Soldiers cleaned weapons with trembling hands, pilots sat wordless in their cockpits, and civilians rescued from chains clung to freedom as if afraid it might vanish. Helena watched the stars wheel past, her reflection hard in the viewport. She knew the galaxy would never forget what had happened here. The last species that provoked humanity was remembered only in ash.